een beetje Nederlands denken. Zo van, ja, maar dat kan echt niet. Maar we zijn hier nu wel. Mag ik hier gewoon in de muziekstad van Amerika, in mijn genre, mag ik gewoon in de ochtendshow spelen.
So, first question I have for you, Jaimey, yes, is when you're on the road with a musician touring, often I thought about like, you know how you embed a journalist with like the military, with like an army group in say in Iraq or something, right? And it becomes very difficult for those journalists to like ask big hard questions while they're on the ground because those guys are, you know, all that's standing between them and a bullet. Maybe the stakes are less here, but did you ever find it difficult to like ask follow-up questions, hard questions when, you know?
Yes. Not really to ask questions, more the timing of the questions. Like, I really had to be in tune and connect with Judy. When can we do interviews? When can we ask questions? When can we go a bit deeper? So what we did is we did a lot of interviews when it wasn't as busy, and also before and after, and we put like the voiceover of it, we combined it.
I see, yeah.
Yeah, that was one.
Just to follow up on one of the, I think it's kind of like the low point in the film, right? I think you mentioned someone might have said something like they didn't like what you were doing. Was that like an incident at that performance itself, where people are kind of walking into the door?
No, I think that's the edit,
Yeah.
because I think it's that was taken from a different interview. Like nothing really happened with the placement of the text. You know, of what I said was perfect because it was kind of like, what am I doing here? That was the worst placement of a stage ever. Just like in front of the door. And I do remember feeling like, okay, all the cool bands are playing on the indoor stage.
Yeah, because it was very hot.
It was so hot.
It was an indoor stage.
That was an indoor stage. It was okay. So Jaimey's is a really cool record store in Nashville. Jaimey's record store, and it was at their new location. And I was booked at Jaimey's, and I was on the poster with Orville Peck and like all these cool names. And then it turns out that all the cool names got that big indoor, well lit stage, and that there was an extra stage by the door at the back entrance, and that's in a tent. That was where I was playing, so I was feeling a little low at that point. But I don't know. At one point, you also have to just roll with it and like decide to have fun with your people.
So this was all before. This was pre-pandemic, the before times.
Just before.
I'm intrigued. First of all, Judy, what is your plan now? Going back to the States, how are you going to pick up after that?
Yeah. Well, so a lot of things happened during the pandemic. So at first, when COVID hit, I loved it. And it was so relaxing and no one wanted anything from me. I loved it. I got to relax. I became a whole different person. And then things picked back up again. I still couldn't travel to the States, which I hated because I love the States. But it was fine. I was just trying to do everything I could. And I had set boundaries for myself. I was like, you know, that stuff that happened pre-pandemic, that's not going to happen. I'm just going to be in charge. I'm a different person now. And then I was supposed to play this really big festival in the UK. And I put a lot of effort in to be there. It was with the funny guy, with Dylan Earl, my friend, who I released 2 songs with. And we were going to promote those singles at Black Deer Festival. And this is all leading back to this documentary because the 3 ladies after the House of Song showcase, they were the bookers scouts. For the scouts for this festival. So it was rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled, and it was finally going to happen in 2021. And we both came. and we had to be there 9 days in advance for a quarantine and a million tests that we all had to pay ourselves, and it was very expensive. And then we arrived there on the first day of our 9-day quarantine, and we hear that the whole festival is off. And but we were trying to make something of it, and I don't know, we did some shows. We played St. Pancras Old Church, like seated, and basically did a tour, a very last minute tour with the most impossible routing ever after having done the 9-day quarantine. And then when I was trying to get home and did another 90-pound test to get home, I got COVID. And I had to stay for another 2 weeks, and that was the most scary thing of my life because I was in the UK and no one could tell me how I was gonna get back. So when I came back, finally after 2 weeks, by miracle of the universe, I don't know, I crashed completely and I lost all will to make music. I didn't like it anymore. I had to move back in with my mom. She had to take care of me because I really could not even make my own sandwich. And it just turned out that I, again, was given way too much and put this whole music career on a pedestal and put my whole being into it. And after that happened, and after I recovered from that after 6 months, I feel like something clicked, and I found it back. I found my mojo back, and I knew that I still wanted to do this and to pursue my dreams, but in a different way. I had to be way more selective for that to never happen again.
Okay.
So, regarding to the States, I now have made a record that I'm super proud of. It's very different from the stuff that you've seen here. Also because I had 3 years in the Netherlands to work on it. It's different than in Nashville. And I actually had my US visa interview last Wednesday, and I passed it. So I'm gonna go there in 2 weeks. And I'm gonna try to get these songs across again, but in a way that's more grounded than I was back then.
Okay, great. Congratulations. And yes, of course.
In the meantime, I did the edit with Esperanza. Thank you.
Esperanza!
Woo! There. So for us, the lockdowns were perfect. To do the edit and to really focus on the story, because we had like hundreds of hours of footage also from the past. You see in the beginning of the film there are like a couple of flashbacks from 2014.
You started following me in 2014.
Yeah.
And the plan was not to make a whole documentary when we started.
No, just some shows.
It's like,
some
oh, do you
footage
want, I'm playing Lowlands, do you want to just like...
Yeah, it was nice, and as friends. And so it's nice because we talked about when you get big in the States, then I go with you. And one day that happened, and she called me, and yeah, it was so nice.
Because I think I have an ending for the documentary that we've been working on.
Yeah, cherry on top, and actually this is the whole documentary. So that's, and in 2 weeks we were flying off. And for me, also personally, it was also a bit too much and very exhausting to be like 10 days. I was there with Dan. We were really focused these 10 days, and it was really focused also on you. But for me, when I'm making a next movie, I will do it a bit more the same as how you described this, to make your next album more healthy for yourself, more grounded, take more time. Because in this industry also, maybe with Spotify, but also like people expect that you can make art all the time. Actually, making good art takes a lot of time and effort, and sometimes you forget this because of the pressure.
So one question for you, and then we'll go to
Oh,
the
yeah.
audience. Jaimey, so what's next for you now in this post-lockdown utopia? What's your next step?
Lockdown.
Yeah, it's a fiction, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was rolling to education.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I started to teach kids about film education.
Oh, awesome.
That's my focus point now more. I feel also very satisfied about this, and from this point, I also feel more creative, also because of teaching kids.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a plan of a new movie, but I feel my next movie will be more, authentic. I think
Okay, nice.
this is also authentic, but for my like that you don't really feel pressure of actualities or people saying, oh, you should make a film about this. So I really feel now the urge to make something out of the system.
Please keep indicating the film library in
Working
mind
on
when it
it.
happens. Yeah.
Working on it, but not really working on it. Love in action. Yay!
I'll open it up to the floor now. We've got a lot of people here. Does anyone have a question?
Well, I have one, if that's
Please.
right. So in this documentary, I hear like this phrase. It comes back like a few times, right? Like, what if this is like my peak? Then what? And now that you're looking, I mean, you just shared, right? That you had this little bit of a not so good period, so to speak. And now if you reflect back on that part where you say that, do you feel like different now about it? Because you say, well, I want to do this again, but I want to do it more grounded. So does that question of like, what if this is it, does that still like haunt you? Or does it not bother you as much anymore because of the things you've been through in like the last like 3 years?
It doesn't bother me at all anymore.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it is. It's something really special that happened in being so depressed. It's really it's a cliche, but you do learn from it, and it changes you as a person. But in my case, it was for the better, and that's why it's so confronting to watch this documentary, because I see myself running towards the edge of the cliff. And I want to say, stop! Stop! And I can't. It's just happening because I know now that I actually landed in that, like in the...
Well, the abyss.
In the abyss, yes. And I would never do that again. And I've regained a certain confidence and love for myself that I did not have back when the documentary was filmed. I feel like back then, I derived my whole personality, my whole self-worth on what I was doing. And by taking that away because of the depression and the burnout, I realized that I was a person outside of that, and that people still loved me, and that I didn't need that external validation of my music. And that's why I can now enjoy making the music again, while also loving myself and not having that be the same thing, because that's very unhealthy.
Would anyone else like to have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Please.
So we've never met, and I've watched hours and hours and hours of footage of you. So I kind of feel like I know you quite close, but we don't. And I was always watching the footage and thinking like, whoa, how is she going to feel when she sees this back? You know, because like you said, it's really confronting to watch yourself with a bunch of other people. So that's applause for that. And my question is then, like, if you would you do this again? Like, if you have a tour one day in your life again, would you want to do another documentary maybe, or is that too confronting, or did you? Yeah, I'm interested in know how do you look at that?
What it is, in the end, is like a moment in time. And even that, even though I hate looking at my face, looking what I was doing at the time. I hate how I'm abusing my own mental state, how I'm self-sabotaging all of the time. I hate watching that. But I also have a lot of love for my former self now. And I know that if I hadn't been her, I probably would have been struggling with different things now. But she also taught me a lot of things. And yeah, even though I'm a little bit weary of people seeing this documentary, that's why it took a long time for me to share it. I was like, yeah, I'll share it. It's because it's scary, because it is showing a side of myself that I'm not very proud of. But in the end, it's also part of who I am, and there's also a good part in it, you know? I also see someone that's working very hard to follow a dream, and even though the chase is a little unhealthy, it is a cool chase, and I am very proud of her. So I would do it again, but I prefer it if I can do it in a state where I'm not as stressed. And that's I felt so bad for you afterwards too, because she was scared to ask me questions during the documentary, because I was like this all of the time. She could not ask me so how are you looking forward to this show you're going to be playing in 5 minutes? I would have been like, word! That was the vibe. I don't want to be that person anymore. So
I have the camera as a protection.
Yes. Yeah, and one time too, I don't know if you were there, but so what you see in the documentary, Jaimey wasn't there for half of it, because we had so many more performances and promos that we were playing, double what you see in this, extra shows, guest shows, radio promos on different stations, singing harmonies for other people. Why not? I would just do everything because I wanted to make the most out of it. And I remember one time we were playing a show at Ocean Way Studios in Nashville for all the Dutch people in Tennessee, and there are a lot of them. Very confusing. So the Dutch government had rented the most expensive studio in Nashville. The government has money. Very interesting. Yeah, they also paid for food for everyone. But anyway, we played the show and it was super tight, but the guy of Fonds Podiumkunsten, he let us know, you have to play this because we kind of organized this for you to show our Dutch people in Tennessee how good you are. He's like, okay, but we already had a show planned and we have to make it to the show. And we borrowed guitars from Gibson in Nashville. And I remember that we played the show and I was like, okay, can you guys get the gear? I'm gonna get my guitar, and then we're just gonna run, and then we might make it. And I'm gonna say hi to these people and bye and thank you, and then you guys are gonna get the stuff, right? And they were like, yeah. And then we were in the car, about 20 minutes out of Tennessee, and I asked them, wait, where's the Gibson? And they were like, oh, I don't know. It must still be at Ocean Way. And I remember just crashing completely in the car and being so angry at the person who was responsible for that, as if they were ruining my life. But it was just I don't want to snap at people anymore. I don't want it to ever go this far. So only when I'm in this state, I would do that again. And I'm hoping to keep myself that way. So.
Actually, I didn't know about the story.
No, you had enough on your plate.
We just had to get the Gibson.
Wait, didn't you guys get the Gibson?
Yeah,
you guys.
Go get the Gibson. We couldn't make it. Ilse Long was there, and we were late because we had to get the Gibson. Yeah,
yes.
That was it. So thanks for that.
That was it.
All good.
Yep. Saviors.
I have a couple more questions and then we have a couple of announcements to make. But first of all, Judy, I'm curious what the song was that they asked for, the Dutch government wanted you to play. Was it anything by Andre Hazes?
No, they just wanted me to play my songs.
Oh, okay.
A little set, a 20-minute set.
Okay, and Jaimey, if we've heard obviously from Judy's perspective, looking back, or what she might do differently or tell her former self, is there anything looking back on the documentary now that you would tell your former self to do different?
Yeah, hire a cameraman. Of course. Yeah, because I took so many roles. Yeah, because Judy, actually you paid for a manager, right? In like a kind of manager in the States?
No?
No,
Wait,
in
when?
when the movie, like this women with the coffee.
No, she was no. She was my publicist. So she got me all of the stuff that I needed to play.
Yeah.
And sometimes she would drive me to things, but she wasn't my manager. She
Oh,
would
okay.
just get the TV stuff and
Yeah, and now I'm feeling more and more that, you can do this all with a group of people. Like, you don't have to do it all by your own. And maybe this also is a bit for you because you did the manager work, PR, and everything. And for me, it's a bit the same. So we kind of relate also.
yeah.
Like me as a maker and you as also a maker. That you really want to have control about everything, and I don't know, it's so tiring if you do it. Maybe other people can also relate, not specifically artists.
Yeah.
Next year I'm
Yeah,
going to try
you
and
can
do
do
this
that.
with a proper team, yeah, so...
Yeah. So I don't know why I'm still figuring it out. Why I have this feeling that I have to do all on my own, but I'm trying to. When I look back on how I was, then I also got really exhausted physically after this movie, actually. So I'm also trying to be a bit more self-loving because we are not superhumans or something. We think we are, maybe. And also mental health, mental state of a healthy mental state of mind. I think that's the most important in this society nowadays. I actually talked this afternoon with you and with my best friend about we know so many people who got in a burnout, also young people, but also older people, and it's like the normal new thing, and I think that's so crazy. So I'm really what I was trying with this movie is really putting a mirror also for young people, like new artists, new musicians, but also everybody who sees the movie. Like, just don't do this. Don't do this. I put it in the front of the don't do this. Don't live your life. Yeah, no, but more like be more self-loving and authentic, and don't get too much like how would you call it? Validation. Yeah, validation, but also when you get influenced by external factors.
Influence.
Yeah, influence. Of people, of audience, of.
Because there is so much. There is so much that can influence you in a bad way. There's so much that can kill your mood. There's so many things that are outside of your control, and the only thing that you have control over is within you. And that's hard, and that takes practice, a lot of it, and especially the whole boundaries part too, that also takes a lot of practice, but it's the only way.
Yeah, and it all comes back, actually, I was thinking about it, also to the economical system, that we are so focused, especially in the Western countries, on money, and I think it's also important to have a healthy relationship with money. It sounds a bit weird maybe, but it's that you really find balance between making money and also doing what you love and sharing what you love. I really believe in this, because otherwise you get so stiff with it, and for me, it's now when I do things that I really love and I really feel this is my thing. Yeah, then suddenly people come to you also. So because you just be a nice person and do things from love instead of being grumpy because you actually don't really like how you are while doing it. Or you can like with you, like you really like your music, but it doesn't really seem that you really like it in the movie. Sometimes you do like it, of course, but then yeah, this is like the attitude. I think that's a bit, yeah. This is, I think this is the point that you actually can enjoy it.
Yes, and that is something that took me a lot of years to figure out. And I guess for the longest time, when you see the images when I'm in Paradiso, when I'm giving a super long speech in like the floral stage, that was in 2016, and that's when I did have like the love for music, just for the music, because I didn't have anything. I didn't have a record out. I mean, I had people that liked it, I guess, but I just did it because I loved songwriting and I loved playing guitar and singing and like, playing a Paradiso on a night with 7 other bands. Incredible. No money? Great. Even better. Like, so that's what I did. And you can see it in my face and in my whole attitude and in my body language too, that I'm so much more relaxed when I didn't have anything to lose. But the minute I started to have things to lose, everything, including my self-worth, started to get attached to the success of the music career. And I'm so happy I don't think that way anymore. Yeah.
It's also about taking yourself and your career not too serious.
Because it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
But it is fun.
It's nice
Sometimes
to look back on the process.
Many philosophical layers of this film, as well as the great music, the rock and roll lifestyle. I think not to come across like an old Marxist, but like the things that you tend to make money off of, or the things that you have to make a living from, are the things that you often end up most alienated from. And I think that's probably the source of a lot of burnout, especially from younger people, is monetizing the things that they love most. It becomes kind of like a cycle of being unable to withdraw yourself from it.
especially if you're selling your feelings.
Yes.
Because that's basically what it is. When I make a deal with a new record company, I'm talking about the value of my feelings, how much percentage they want of that. And it's so insane, but that's what art is, and it's, yeah.
So I think I'm going to have to bring this to a close because I'm aware that we need to announce the winners of the festival. I'm just going to have to do that via my phone because the article should have gone on to Indie Film Library by now automatically. Yes, there it is. So,
Should we sit down?
oh yeah.